Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. Hi, Kitty. Welcome to the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hi, how are you, Holly? So nice to see you. It's just finally getting here. It's been a journey to get here, but happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So we met, the first time we met was at Metz, and it was at the end of a long day, and I can remember my feet hurt, and I approached you and kind of introduced myself, and you were just an absolute breath of fresh air. You just sat down next to me, and we just, I didn't have to be professional. We just spoke, and I just thought, I love this lady. And also, not only that, but you gave me the most amazing merch. It was this super useful travel plug, which I cannot tell you how many times I've used since. And every time I use it, I think of you and smile.
Well, I will make sure that my members who donated those mugs, they were thrilled because they didn't want to have to schlep them back to the U.S.
I can remember. I think you gave me about 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was Ward's Marine Electric and another woman-owned business, and who I've known for way more years than I care to say. And she's just been an incredible inspiration in my life. And they joined us for Mets Trade this year, this past year. And she was thrilled that we were able to do it. And when I tell her that how much you really loved it, she'll be very happy. So,
oh my goodness! So I go back from every boat show with so much merch. Honestly, my kids love it, but that is the only thing that I've actually gone, that's useful, and I've used it and used it and used it. Oh my goodness, yeah. It's unreal. Absolutely love it.
It makes sense. It's functional to use, and it doesn't weigh 20 pounds. Because that's the very important aspect to travel. Is not to make sure your bag is too heavy.
Yeah, awesome. So, Kitty, let's go straight into it with an introduction. Tell us who you are, what is it you do, and what you do in the marine industry.
Well, thank you very much again. My name is Kitty McGowan. I'm the president of NautiCom Communications, which nobody's heard of, but that's my own company, and I've had this company since 1999. And I've been in vast different aspects of all things boating, from being a former yacht chef back before you were born in the 80s, working on boats like Octopussy, Thunderball, Moonraker, and then working for the Marine Industries Association of South Florida. I've run fishing tournaments all over the world. I started the Los Sueños Billfish Tournament Series that's still going on 25 years later. So I've been in fishing, and then in the yachting side, as a client, I was hired by the U.S. Superyacht Association like 14 years ago to as the president of U.S. Superyacht Association, to be able to help grow the industry. Now, my association does a lot of association management, events, PR in a small way, but like most people that are consultants and stuff, the shoemakers' kids have no shoes, which is why you don't ever hear about my company. You only hear about my clients' companies. Yes. So, but that's what I do, and it's such a when I would go to Washington and I'd have a sign on that says the yachting industry or super yacht industry. And I'd be walking next door, on the hill in Washington, and next to an elevator association leader, and they say, "Oh, that sounds like so much fun compared to the elevator business." But yeah, we're blessed. We have such an incredible industry. I mean, we work hard because we all do, but it's a fun industry, and we get to bring so much light and fun to people. So I've been blessed with this business for a long time. So.
Yeah, I mean, do you know, I say this to people, and people, you know, that they think it's all glam and it's all fun. And I do have to remind people that we do work incredibly hard as well. But also, you know, I'm not daft enough to think if you've got to work hard in any industry, why not be one that involves super yachts? Do you know what I
Oh my
mean? Because
gosh, yeah.
actually,
I mean,
like,
I would
it's
be
incredible.
working 18 hours on a boat, but I'm staring out at a beautiful island, and you know, I could be trapped in a cubicle in an office for that same 18 hours. And it's, you know, it is all job satisfaction, but you know, we are very blessed to have, you know, a really incredible industry that allows us to enjoy um, and also still work. So the
Yeah,
hard part is
exactly
a
that.
lot of people don't understand that it is an industry, because people on the outside, they think, oh, yachting is just fun, and you know, super yachts, it's just for the 2%. But so many people are affected by the super yachts in the world that it's really quite an impressive industry.
It really is, and especially where you're based in Fort Lauderdale. So, I mean, I travelled out for the Fort Lauderdale show in October, and I was blown away when I first landed. And I think it was only from the journey from the airport to where we were staying. Every corner we took, everywhere I looked, there was a business that was connected to the marine industry, and it was only maybe a quarter of an hour drive from where we were staying to the airport. And even in that short space of time, there was just business after business after business all around servicing the marine industry. So, you know, even more so where you're based, it is a huge industry which is keeping people in employment. You know, it's, you know, entrepreneurs are starting up businesses. You know, it's not just, you know, people enjoying their yachts. You know, it is a huge
Oh,
industry.
it really is. I mean, and when I jokingly say is it takes a village, you know, they say to raise a child. I mean, it takes an army to take care of the yachting industry. I mean, even
Yeah,
though there's roughly what 8,000 super yachts worldwide, but you think about all the different aspects of taking care of that yacht, or purveying, or you know, I mean everything, paint and maintenance and cleaning, and
yeah,
you know, we all know the drill. You're in boat building, you know, so in
yeah,
the boat building side, um, you know, so it's a huge part of our community, and that's something that when I ran for city commission in 2022 in Fort Lauderdale, because of there was an opening in the area where most of the boats are, that was open for a special election. It because this industry needed a strong voice, and that's where I'm proud of that, like the U.S. Super Yacht Association and our partners with other associations around the world. We do provide that voice to support the industry, because otherwise people take it for granted that we're gonna just stay. You know,
yeah.
so it's an easy thing to lose, because I've been in the business long enough here when Fort Lauderdale stole the majority of it fair and square from Miami. So it's like we have to watch out, because otherwise it's going to go up the coast, and we're going to, you know, Fort Lauderdale is going to lose a lot of really important jobs. So
Yeah, exactly
it's
that. Because
but Fort Lauderdale's still doing it though.
yeah, because I suppose I've never really thought about it like that. If the industry did up and move its centre and say, well, actually, we're not going to focus our productions, our sales, our design, our, you know, even keeping the yachts in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, what an impact that would have to the
Oh,
local community.
and they don't realize it. You know, it's kind of like you don't know how good you had it until you don't.
Yeah,
And you know, it's
wow.
like that in like dating or something. You know, you're like, yeah, I don't really like this guy, but you know, it's that. Well, once he's gone, he really wasn't that bad. He was really
Oh
pretty
no.
good. So, and it's kind of the same way in
Yeah,
these kind of situations, is that you don't recognize how important it is until it's gone. And
yeah.
you know, Fort Lauderdale is not the only one, you know, struggling with those kinds of things, and a lot of communities are, you know, as they get to a point where um, you can't, when the crew can't afford to be there anymore, or that, you know, that it becomes so expensive, you know,
Mm.
whereas like crew housing in Fort Pierce, which is up where the new director yard is a
Hmm.
third. of what it is
Oh,
here.
really?
So it does become, you get that tipping point, and that's, some of the things that, that we do and that I spend a lot of time that I'm doing is trying to educate and promote and protect, valuable jobs and industries for our industry here. I mean, the U.S. Superyacht Association is really only focused on boats over 80 feet. So, I
Right.
mean, that's our main focus is taking care of the industry, whether it's marinas, shipyards, uh, the painters, the the bottom guys, the fabricators. That's our whole focus. So, we have a lot of work to do.
Wow, wow, yeah, it sounds it. So going right back then, I mean, you spoke a lot sort of very, very quickly when you said about your background, and it was all marine, fishing, super yacht, boating, yachting. Have you always, was it just a given that this is what you were going to do with your career? Did you grow up on the water? How did it all begin?
It's funny you should say that because that's a question I ask a lot with people. I mean, if you think about, I mean, I've been here in Fort Lauderdale. My family moved here when I was 4,
Right,
and
okay.
I did grow up on the water. You can imagine in 1967 that Fort Lauderdale was a vastly different community.
I can imagine, yeah.
I mean, you could see the bottom of my canal. I mean, it was kind of the Wild West. It was
Really?
where the boys are from the movie, and it was a lot of snowbirds. There's a lot of people that just came down in the winter.
Oh,
So it
really?
was not the same place. I mean, where there were 12 shipyards on New River back then, where the Broward Center of Performing Arts was Chinook Marine, and we used to take our boat there, and it was a self hauling. They would haul it, and you could work on the boat yourself. So I did grow
Oh,
up on
really?
the water. I
Hmm.
mean, I learned to water ski where Marina Bay is, right off of State Road 84,
Wow.
where there's a big marina there now.
Hmm.
I mean, so it's a really different world. So we did grow up on boats, and everything I had as a kid was circled around the water.
Really?
But I went to Florida State University, and I have a degree in communications. And um, but again, like I said at the beginning, no one ever thought about yachting as an industry. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just it was something we did for fun. We would fish and we would ski and we would boat, and I worked. This was 1985. I was vice director, assistant director for public relations at Broward General Medical Center.
Right.
And at the time, so you can imagine 1985 was the Miami Vice world. It was the crazy, crazy time with the crazy drug lords and all of the
Oh,
craziness. And
wow.
so I was the spokesperson. So at 2 in the morning, I'm getting a call and I'm doing interviews at Broward, because there was a shootout at the OK Corral because it was nuts.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
it,
Well, at
it
least I
was
didn't call you at 2 o'clock in the morning for this interview then.
Oh, like constantly. I mean, oh yeah, no, yeah. I know with the time difference, but it didn't matter. I had a bend more towards medicine. I mean, I had wanted to be a doctor. I had studied a lot of that, and so healthcare was kind of. My mom is a nurse, and she's obviously retired. But so I grew up around medical stuff,
Right.
and so it didn't bother me when I'm standing in the hallway and they're carrying somebody through and their brains are dripping on my shoes.
Oh my gosh.
Um, but that's what it was, but it was a lot. I mean, it was just so much. And I was dating a boat captain,
Right.
and he was taking his boat back to Massachusetts for the summer. And I was kind of fried of having had 3 years of nonstop craziness in media and in healthcare because we had 3 shifts. So it was just a lot. And I was like, and I was always that straight between the lines, got my degree, straight A student, got a job. I started right after college, and I was always that thing. And I just said, you know what? Heck yeah, I quit my job. I bought a car, and I said, Mom, I'm moving to Boston. And
Oh,
she's like,
wow.
what? And the kind of the rest is kind of crazy. And I was there in Mass, and I didn't talk to a soul. I learned how to varnish because we were working on a boat that was all wood, and he taught me how to do stuff. I didn't have AirPods then, but I had a big Walkman and cords, and I would just go out and not talk to anybody. And then we finished the boat, and we did some charters around Boston Harbor, and of course, then I found out he was cheating on me. And then I saw that movie Cocktail with Tom Cruise, and it was in the Caribbean. And I said, I want to go there. And I packed my stuff up in my car. I drove home. I dummied up some bogus resume, and I put it in the book at Smallwoods. And then it was kind of from there. I mean, I didn't know how to. I mean, I worked on boats, but there was no STCW. There was no training. There was none of those things. And I came in, and God bless Jimmy Floyd, who's still around in the business. And, he got me some introduced. There was no computers then. I mean, there was no internet. So, my first call I got was, you want to be a chef or a stew? And I'm like, I don't have to clean toilets and makes more money. I'm a chef. My mom's like, what do you know about being a chef? I'm like, I don't know. I can read. I'll figure it out. And unbeknownst to me, my first boat was a Broward. So it was funny is that, Broward Marine, and it was a 95 Broward. The guy was brand new to yachting. And he decided to do the trip down to the Caribbean. And about halfway through, he says, you're not really a chef, are you? And I said,
my goodness.
no. And he goes, well, you're trying really hard, and I appreciate that. And he goes, your food's not bad. His wife was Grande Plume from Cordon Bleu.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, but I stayed on the boat, and he became he became a good friend. And then I learned by talking to other people. And, a lot of people, that's the story. That's why I'm saying is that you don't grow up saying, oh, I'm going to be, well, maybe now because of Below Deck and, that, which has opened their eyes to a lot of people that it's a career.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of a tumbleweed journey, and it's just about, when you see an opportunity, not being afraid to jump, and, having the courage to just do it. And,
that's the thing, isn't it? Out of all of that story, as much as it's made me smile.
No, I like to.
No. As much as that's made me smile, all I'm thinking in that is, do you know what? You may not have been a chef when you wrote that CV, when you took that job, when you went and just moved there. But it's that opportunistic mindset, isn't it? It's that go-getting attitude of, okay, my life, some people would sit there and think, oh, my boyfriend's cheated on me and my life's fallen apart and I don't know what to do and I don't want to go back to my life before. But you're like, no, hang on. I'm going to go and move the other side of I'm going to go and do something cool. I'm going to go and make this a positive experience. And it's people like that normally win in life, isn't it? Because they take those opportunities.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people, fear is such a very unfortunate part of life for a lot of people that it paralyzes them to saying, why not? And it does, I have to say, is now not a 23-year-old or a 24 or 25-year-old, where it's a whole lot easier. You're like, oh, if I mess this up, I got time to figure it out. When you're at 60 and you kind of go, well, maybe I'll rethink that one, You take fewer chances as the older you get. But if you don't try, or if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no. I mean, what's the worst that could possibly happen? Okay, let go. Didn't work out. But what did you learn in that experience that you can take with you to your next adventure? And you never know. I mean, it's like you grow, and it's, people will ask me now, how do you know all these things? I said, because I'm a kitty and I'm a cat. I don't have 9 lives. I have 90 lives, So, but it's because I wasn't afraid to take the leap. And
I suppose also it's thinking, okay, I'm not afraid to take the leap, but I'm actually okay with getting it wrong. I'm not afraid to fail as well. You can go into something and think, I quite like what's the worst that can happen, because You know, if you put that question to yourself in many situations, usually the worst that can happen is no worse than not trying. So
Yeah.
actually, you might as well give it a go, because you don't end up any worse than if you didn't.
No, it's so true. And it's that there's a quote, and I was trying to find it earlier by Winston Churchill, um, who is that, success is not permanent and failure is not, gonna to kill, it's not terminal, but
Yeah, yeah.
this is, I'm paraphrasing, but it's, getting back up and continuing on is what will make you a success.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I kind of paraphrased it. Sorry, Winston, but that's ultimately the thing, and that is the one thing, if nothing else, is that don't be afraid to try.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
this might not be the right fit for you in this particular moment, but so much of life is timing. I mean, look at the timing I met you is because I happened to be there at the same time when you were there, and we were able to to build a friendship, and I've been able to kind of follow your incredible career because I've had so many people since then say, oh, you know her, like I said, well, like, I'm trying to get back on her show. But in the course of that time frame, also I've had a flood and I've lost my house, and it's like those are the things you just kind of say, okay, well, now what? Don't ever ask those questions because you
Well,
ask now what, you're gonna go okay, and we're gonna ask that one again. So
the thing is every time I speak to you, there is something going on in your life, but through all of it, you've always got a smile on your face. At no point do you think, no, this has defeated me now. You're like, okay, cool, I'm getting back up, and this has happened, but I go again.
it's duct tape. The secret. Duct tape right behind. No,
Oh, so
sorry.
I know that we sort of touched on a few challenges, but looking back, has there ever been a moment where you've gone, oh no, what have I done? Or how am I going to get through this? Or, what's been the biggest challenge you've ever had to face where you've thought, actually, this is really tough?
Honestly, it was last year,
I
the whole
really
year.
saw something recent.
It's very recent. I mean, because it was like a series of things. It wasn't just one.
Right. Okay.
It was a car accident that was fairly significant that I had right the week before the Palm Beach Boat Show.
I
Um,
really.
oh yeah, no, I had a massive concussion. I have virtually no recollection of Palm Beach last year, and
Wow.
I'm
I mean,
still
that's me
dealing.
most boat shows, to be honest,
No,
but
no,
for
I heard
different
it was
reasons,
great.
probably.
Everybody tells me it was awesome. Like, cool. Um, and then less than a month after that is the flood,
Yes, I've
where,
heard about that.
not a little flood. I mean, it was a massive flood. I mean, I lost everything. And for
Okay.
2.5 days, we're in water up to my waist, and we're people in my house because I preparing for a golf tournament that clearly didn't happen. And all of the people were like swimming from counter to the table to things because it was water everywhere,
My
and to then
goodness.
have to deal with that, and trying to keep business going. And I'm so blessed with so many people throughout this past year. I mean, I also then got married for the first time, which was
Wow.
a good part
What's
of
all of
last
that?
year. First time, yeah, I know, crazy. It's like, what was I thinking? Um, but yeah, I turned 60 a month after the flood, and then 2 days later, I got married because I had nothing else to do. We were still
Oh,
clearing out the house.
I hope you didn't tell. I hope you didn't tell your then fiance. We'll get
Oh, I
married because I
asked
don't have
him.
anything else to do.
No, he knows.
Still a day.
And it was the most amazing day. I mean, I had
Oh
people from.
wow.
It was just a big party, and I
Oh,
had my
brilliant.
second grade teacher from St. Jerome's there, and it was just like Kitty McGowan, who's your life, and friends from every aspect of my life. And but there's so many. The thing I learned from all of that, and I mean, I actually coded during the flood, and 911 couldn't get to us. And for some reason, I still have stuff to do here. And I came back after being non-responsive for 4 minutes. And then we were rescued by a swamp buggy and made the international news. And then somebody saw us and took us away. And but yeah, I mean, that on top of all the other stuff and trying to keep things going. But, through that, like our friends at Lauderdale Marine Center, they let us move some of our office in there for a short time. And then we were able to, but it's because it's the community. And as much as where you say, how do you keep smiling, through such, I mean, like when I say everything, you say, when you said there's something going on all the time, it's like everything is a challenge. I mean, almost 9 months later, I've just been moving back into this house. So it's been like this big struggle. But the only reason I can keep smiling is because of the incredible relationships and the people from our industry and my family and friends that they all, I mean, they all came together, and at various times, the people you least expect to show up, don't ever judge that somebody, oh, they don't like me, I've never done anything with them. Those are the people that really blew me away and came with dirty clothes on and food and stuff and helped me, pull everything out of this house.
Really?
I mean, everything that was in here had to be taken down to studs. So that's how you learn about not giving up. Because I mean, what was I going to do? You just have to keep going.
You've got in that situation. You've got no choice. But it's interesting because in times of adversity, you see people's true colours, and you see who's really there for you and who's perhaps not.
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing is as well, though, is when you're thrown into a situation, an unexpected situation that, you obviously don't plan for, in your case, this huge flood. And if you imagine yourself in a situation like that and you think, gosh, what would I do? How would I get through that? Or you see other people in that situation, you think, gosh, I don't know how you got through that. But then you find yourself in that situation and actually you've got no choice but to get through it. So actually, you do, because what other option do you have? You're in that situation and you've got no other option but to face the next day and face what comes next and keep facing what comes next. And it's surprising how strong you can be.
But also it's that because of the way I've been able to live my life, I mean, one of the calls I made when I was evacuated was to my friend, Chef Adrian. She was on below deck. And I know she was here in town, and I said, look, Adrian, I said, my neighborhood is going to need better. And I Zelled her some cash, and I said, get your crew together, because she's done a lot of those kinds of things for, really intense, bad experiences or hurricanes or floods or whatever. And she made hundreds of sandwiches and got water and snacks and fruit. And, she and I was like with my kayak and things. The next day, we're out taking food and water and things to the neighborhood. But because I had her, we were able to help other people. And then people that I knew that either from boats or from my clients or relationships that came to check my electrical panel, I was able to help 10 other people. But that's the power of relationships. And that's the power that, that you either have. It's like, I don't know the answer, but I got a guy or I got a girl, or I got somebody that knows somebody that can help you out, so.
I feel like this needs to be made into a film or something.
Oh, no. It definitely is going to be that film. And I'm trying to remember her name. Is one I want is to play me. Originally, everyone's like, it's got to be Nicole Kidman. And I say, just because she has red hair, she's like 6 feet tall. I'm 5'3". But that was a joke when we're sitting in the flood and everybody's here in my house. And I said, well, who do you want to play you in the movie?
It does sound really like.
It is. So it's going to be a film to be continued.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. I mean, you've described yourself as a strong voice, throughout all of this, and I can tell, you are a strong personality and a strong character in the industry. But have you had any sort of additional challenges because of the fact you're a female in a male-dominated industry, or do you give as good as you get?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that might be the answer.
Like, wow. I mean, still today. And I know, and actually the funny thing is I'm less intimidating than I was when I was 40.
Wow.
I'm a much nicer kitty now than I was then. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's, a lot of times that, you'd walk into places or people would come in and they'd say, let me talk to the boss. And I'm like, with it, I'm the boss. I'm the one you need. No, 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 no. Okay, little lady, let me talk to the boss. And,
I
so
bet
much
you
of,
take great satisfaction in going, that is me.
well, the hard part is that a lot of the times, unfortunately, you know, and that's why I created the Inspire Initiative, is to have women help each other. I mean,
Mm,
imagine if we were the old boys club, because there's more of us than there are of them. And I love men, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this
yeah.
is an anti-man thing. This is not a man-hating
No?
conversation. But it's most of my mentors were men because
Yeah.
women just never helped each other.
No.
And it took a lot to get men to understand, and a lot of times I had to I had to suck it up and play that okay, okay. For a brief time I was blonde. Just to make a crazy side story, I had a
Right.
industrial accident with a highlighting tool and it just got very, very pale. And as a redhead growing up, and there's a lot of power in red, most people were terrified of redheads to begin with. And no one questioned me ever as a kid. I mean, I was a geek with glasses and red hair. And but as a blonde, when I'd be on deck and I'd say, normally everybody's a redhead, I don't know, I want that line there, move that, blah, blah. As a blonde, they'd say, okay, honey, can you toss me the line? And I mean, it's amazing the perception that people will have. And then it would be like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Hit them in the head with it, So, but it is, and it's not completely gone away in
No.
terms of that, but it's rapidly changing
Yeah,
in
it
a
is.
very positive way. And I mean, there's still buckets of it that still exist in it, but that's just life. I mean, sometimes people have their own experiences and their own realities, and they only go off of what they know, and then it's a matter of educating them. That's my nicer kitty side at 60, saying, it's about educating them about, what, why you need me at this table and not that goofy guy who just because he's a guy is not the one you need for this job.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly that.
and then they kind of go, okay. So it has been a huge part of my career. I mean, in healthcare, when I worked in healthcare, it was all men. And in yachting, it was all men. And everybody knows that, like in theater, I was in theater for a while because one of my 90 lives, and everybody talked about the casting couch and all that. I mean, I happily never had to or never felt the need to have to do that. But there's a lot that have. And, it's an unfortunate pathway. And, I think that's in history. I think it's more historical now than it
Yeah.
is current. But you know, but that's it. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, but that's why I created the Inspire Initiative. So
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, compared to you, I've been in the industry for a short snippet of time in comparison. But even I have seen over the space of the 10 years, it has changed. It's changed, massive amount because there are many now. There are many strong female voices challenging, the stereotypes, challenging what what has gone on before, and I think we feel more empowered, and as we go together as a group, feel more empowered as a group as well to actually speak up and say, well, actually, I do know my stuff, I just happen to be female.
right. I mean, and not only that is that it's, we are speaking up, but we're still only about 2 to 3% of the yachting industry worldwide. And
Which is
that's
mad,
like
isn't it?
this much, and yet, of a big industry. But if there's some data out there, this is actually the year of the woman.
Oh,
And,
really?
and yes, and this was National Women's History Month in March, and Friday was International Women's Day. Um,
It
you
was
know, it's,
indeed.
it's yes, it was, and it's becoming more. I hate to that sounds so trite to say it's becoming more popular to say, oh yeah, we're going to celebrate women, but it's really, if you look at the economic drive that women bring to the economy, it's staggering.
Mm.
I mean, it is absolutely staggering what as a sex that we bring to the international economy. So, I think people are finally starting to kind of go, wow, I guess we can't let this one, we can't just sweep that one under the rug. So I'm very
Yeah.
proud to still be, around and relevant, because that is as much a thing as to try to stay up with these young people. I kind of go, I was always the young one in the room, and now I'm grandma.
I mean, it's surprising how sometimes as well. What I think is quite surprising is it doesn't that those prejudices don't always come from the men. Like you said, this isn't a and
Oh, no.
men are treating women bad type of conversation. I've had equally the same prejudice come from other females in the industry as well, and I think that that's not helpful, because I think there is, as I've said before, there's power in us all coming together, because if we are only 2 to 3% of the industry, we're a lot more powerful 2 to 3% if we're 2 to 3% of us all working
Working
together.
all,
You
all
know,
swimming in the same direction.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that is,
And I think someone said to me recently that's really, really stuck with me is a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's like,
oh yeah.
actually, let's all raise each other up so that we're heard as a collective rather than lots of individuals, because we're a small part.
We're, yeah, like one cog on a really big wheel. But imagine, and it's not just, I mean, I've mentored a lot of younger women in my life who I still stay in touch with and are still like family to me. And, but also it's about
Yeah.
reaching across to a colleague who is on par, where if you hear of something that could be beneficial to them, and it doesn't have to be, this is my sandbox, you can't come in it,
Hmm.
or
Exactly
that if
that.
you succeed, then that diminishes me. And that's a lot of the mindset that a lot of women have, is that they can't see somebody else, or not, they can't, but a lot of them don't want to see somebody else
Yeah.
rise up, because then they're going to go, well, why isn't that me? And I mean, to me, that's just, I don't even understand that mindset.
No,
And it's funny, the and this is so not about who I am. The movie Barbie, I don't know, did you see it? It
I
was,
haven't, but I've got Barbie obsessed daughters, so I know
oh,
a bit
okay,
about
I had Barbies as a child too. So, but there's one speech in this, and I would urge everybody to go it, to listen to it. And it's essentially, it's that, it's like being a woman's really hard. You have to be thin, but not too thin. You have to have money, but not so much money that then people will look down on you. You have to want to have kids, but don't talk about your kids all the time. And it goes about, it's absolutely fantastic, and it is so true. And
yeah.
the young actress who did the speech, not Barbie, she was talking to Barbie, essentially saying,
Mhm.
and imagine all of these things, and you're a doll. Imagine how hard it is for women in general, that we still have to do that. We can't want to be too popular, because then we're snobby. We have to be nice, but not so nice that then somebody's husband's going to think you're being nice to them. And it's, but look it up. It's the speech from the woman's speech from Barbie. It does make you kind of go, that's so true. And,
Yeah,
and
it
that is,
sounds it, and I am going to look that up, because that does sound a really interesting speech, actually.
it was, and that's what the one legacy I would love to leave for this industry is that it's okay to let's see somebody else succeed. I mean, actually, that should make you feel better. If you had some part of helping them do better, why wouldn't that make you feel better? I mean, to me, that makes me happy. If I can
Yeah,
say, hey,
exactly.
I have an opportunity for you that would be perfect for you. I
Or
mean,
even
that
if
to
you
me,
have no part in it, you celebrate someone's success because they're raising the bar.
yeah,
Do you know what I
right.
mean? And that's it,
Absolutely.
you know?
No, I love it. And that's, it's that, to me, that's what I mean, I know everybody, a lot of people say, oh, well, I post all this positive, that. But because I think it, I mean, because I do think is that you process what you think and you become what you say in your head. The voice in your head is the thing that drives everything. And unfortunately, the voice in our head for most people is nothing positive. I mean, imagine if
Yeah,
we
you're
treated
absolutely right.
ourselves like we treat our best friend or our
Oh my
mother,
goodness. That's so true. Absolutely so
so,
true. So, I mean, we've spoken a lot about challenges, but
right.
what's been your greatest achievement? What have you done where you've suddenly gone, oh my goodness, Kitty, that was amazing. I'm so proud of myself. What springs to mind?
I'm an extraordinarily blessed woman, and I have so many. I have so many things that I am so blessed and thankful for, and really proud to have been able to be a part of it. I mean, whether it's helping some young girl out of a really bad situation and seeing her succeed and get married where she had no opportunities before, and now she has a strong personality. That makes me just feel so good. I mean, but one of my, from a career side, proudest moments was being in Washington, D.C. And I had been, in my role here as president of US Superyacht, I had been fighting for legislation. I shouldn't say fighting, but really pushing to drive legislation about a US flag registry for large vessels over 300 gross tons.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, it had been like 10 years of like Groundhog Day. It's like you get up a little and then you come back down. And I was sitting in a congressman's office, and and it was from Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard walks in, and it was my birthday too, on top of it. And sitting in Washington D.C., and he goes, "Here we have the language; it's been approved, and we're going to go forward." And then we got it
Oh,
signed that year. I mean, in the span of 3.5 months, it was done, and it made it happen. Now we're still fighting with language 10 years later, but that's Coast Guard. But to be able to make that happen, that as a career driver, that was to me was a big moment. Being able
well, I
to pull all
suppose,
those things together.
you're looking at it thinking, I've made a difference there. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? If it wasn't for my input, that wouldn't have happened. I've actually made a difference to an industry, and that's a legacy. Do you know what I mean? That difference
it
will be
is.
long lasting.
Yeah, I mean, like I have others. I mean, it's like excluding super yachts from the travel ban during COVID. If if I hadn't worked with others to make that be a part and have it be the last thing that Donald Trump signed on his last day in office to include super yachts or recreational yachts from the travel ban, the entire charter industry of boating and people being able to come and go would have ended for
Yeah,
almost 2 years. So that made a difference. I mean, and being able to have people keep jobs.
Mm.
And, I mean, I've repatriated stews that got kicked out because of my relationships with Customs and Border Protection or things around the country. I mean, so like I say, I have so many things that I'm like, yeah, I did. I was like, but I did that because I had developed relationships with other people that helped. I mean, it wasn't just Kitty McGowan, me, myself, and I,
Yeah.
like a very crowded place, but it's because, I know other people, and because I've developed those things. And I'm a very blessed human to be able to do what I do, and to make a difference in
Yeah.
ways that sometimes you don't even realize that you
Yeah.
do. So that I'm a very blessed woman.
And what I love about that is when I said, "What's your greatest achievement?" It wasn't a business win or a company that you set up or an amount or a business deal that you did. It was about making a difference to people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Making a positive difference to people, and that probably, I mean, in the short space of time that I've known you, that's what sums you up to me, is that you want to make a positive difference for people. You know, it's not about how much money you can make, you know, how successful your business is or what you look like or anything like that. It's about making a positive change and having impact on people, which I just absolutely.
No, I know. It's like, but it's like, you know, Yoda would say, you know, in terms of the financial side, Kitty, you chose poorly. I've spent most of my career in nonprofits. You know, so, but you know, I tell you, you know, they say if you find something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I've always done, you know, people say, Kitty, you always do what you want to do. I mean, I've raised millions of dollars for cystic fibrosis, you know, when I worked with them. I mean, I've worked for charities and done stuff my whole career and worked in that most of my career. So it clearly it is part of who I am. And, you know, it makes me happy. I mean, it makes me smile. Now, would I be happy if I could have, you know, peace on earth and goodwill to men and a bank account that would allow me to retire at some point? Heck yes. But I say welcome to Walmart.
Oh my goodness. You never fail to make me smile and laugh. So, I mean, the final question that is the same question I ask every guest, but I'm really excited to hear how you answer this. What one quote do you strive to live by? I bet you've got a million.
Yeah, actually, I there's so many because I really try every day to to start a day with affirmations, and because I do believe that, you know, the garbage in is the garbage that comes out, and I know that at points in my life when I can put my head and project positive, that positive things happen.
I love
that. Eleanor Roosevelt, who's one of my favorite people, who was President Roosevelt's wife. And one of the quotes that she said is that no one makes you feel inferior without your permission.
Oh, I love that.
So if you say they make me feel bad, no. You're giving them the permission to have you feel that way. No one makes you feel inferior without your permission. So it's about owning it. Own your shit.
I actually love that. I've not heard that before. And whenever I hear a quote that I've not heard before, it always takes me a little moment because I think I've got to process that and make it relevant to my life as well. And I think actually she's absolutely bang on, isn't she?
Yeah. I mean, it's so true. And a lot of times that kind of goes back into the fear thing, is that, you know, like, I don't think I could do that. I don't feel that I could succeed there, but that's because you're letting them project that on you, but you're allowing it. Yeah. So it does tie into that. That kind of goes to my whole thing about don't let fear drive who you are or who you want to be. And failure is not an option in my mind. So
no, I absolutely love it.
As a chef, if your custard didn't set, then you make it a sauce, you know?
I absolutely love that quote, and I've loved our conversation, and I've loved that our chance meeting in Metz has, you know, kept us in contact like it has. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Kitty.
Oh, Holly, it's been such a delight, and I so appreciate your patience and your perseverance, because that is a big strength that I so give you so much credit for. And I look forward to many more opportunities to catch up with you in person, and even just to keep friendship, because I love positive, influential, and strong younger women. They just make me smile. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.